Welcome to the Aro Benaiah Show, where we explore the real stories behind local entrepreneurs, creators, and business leaders who turn their life lessons into lasting success. Today, I'm joined by Mark Young, author, entrepreneurs, and mind behind Amazon bestseller "Date Your Dream Building," professional date your life from life's worth personal or strike out. Mark brings a bold and refreshing honest approach to business relationship, comparing the emotional ups and downs of dating to reality of entrepreneurship and client management. Through humor, honesty, and a touch of self-reflection, he shows how our most embarrassing and painful moments can actually become the foundation for business growth and a stronger relationship. We are going to dive into how he came up with these unconventional ideas, what really means to date your clients, and how failure, both personal and professional, can become fertilizer for success. Mark, it's really a pleasure having you on the show.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you for having me.
So, Mark, what was it like growing up? Yeah.
I'm a kid from the Midwest of the US. Not too much crazy to tell in that. I was always very focused on, I grew up in a family of entrepreneurs. So there was always a business that somebody was part of and always something to be done. So, I mean, it was nonstop movement. It was nonstop action. But I remember, as a kid coming home from school to help pack orders that needed to be sent to customers and so on. So this life of an entrepreneur that I've decided to live nowadays is not new to me.
Wow, wow, amazing, amazing. So you grew up surrounded by family business. What were some of the earlier lessons you learned watching entrepreneurs up close?
One of the lessons that I think I learned was this nothing ventured, nothing gained type
Mm.
mindset, that there was absolutely, nothing was given to us for free. And you worked for everything that you wanted. So I grew up with that mindset that there was 100% of if I wanted it, I worked for it.
If I want it, I work for it. Amazing. So when you say if it were easy, everyone would have done it, what does that phrase means to you now after all those years in business?
Yeah, my dad used to use that phrase all the time, and it makes me laugh nowadays because, um, there's always that idea that everybody sees an entrepreneur and thinks, "Oh, they've got it so easy and, everything must be easy for them. They must be rich. They must be whatever." And it's like, and unless you are an entrepreneur or who have been an entrepreneur, I don't think anybody understands what entrepreneurs go through to achieve what they do and the number of hours and the number of times that, they didn't get paid this week. So there's always the staff gets paid and then you get what's left over.
Yeah.
And I don't think a lot of people see that or or give enough. I don't think they realize that what goes into being an entrepreneur. And I think as entrepreneurs, there's a bit of a brotherhood that exists because we understand each other. We
Yeah.
understand the struggle that takes place. We understand the frustration that goes into that.
You have lived through both business and professional highs and lows. What is one failure that taught you something unforgettable?
Repeat that for me?
Yeah, I see you have lived through both business and personal highs and lows. What is one failure
Yeah.
that have taught you something unforgettable?
Gosh, I don't know. The lessons that I've learned, I mean, I suppose part of it is just show up every day. Um, there's just this idea that, I mean, as an entrepreneur, like we get in mood swings, we get frustrated, I guarantee you that every person listening to this who runs a business understands the frustrations that come along with owning a business. But there's beauty in the fact that we don't give up. And I think um that becomes an idea that's just not an option.
Yeah, thank you. So the concept is fun, but deep. Date your clients. What is one core ideas behind it?
A core idea behind Date Your Clients.
Yeah.
I think the biggest core idea that I would take away from Date Your Clients would be that we've all experienced professional ups and downs. We've all done that before. We know what that feels like. And I would say, unfortunately, there's too many entrepreneurs out there that have never started a business. And I you can ask the question, are you an entrepreneur if you've never started a business? And I say yes, because there's a lot of people out there who they're entrepreneurs at heart, and yet they've had the fear of starting a business for that fear of failure. And I think in that respect, nobody who ever started a business did so and knew that everything was going to be great the first time. They tried it, they hoped it would work, they wanted it to go well, but it was never perfect, and it's never going to be perfect. And my encouragement to an entrepreneur out there is don't wait until it's right. Start now. And in Date Your Clients, we really talk about so many lessons that people think they need to learn, they've already learned. And I wish they would understand that they already know this stuff intuitively.
Wow, amazing, amazing. So many people actually avoid missing personal lessons with business advice. What did you choose? Why did you actually choose to lean into the vulnerability instead?
Lean into being an
Vulner-
entrepreneur.
Vulnerability instead.
I think with anything that we decide to do, it's interesting that lean into vulnerability. That's interesting. I don't know that you can be an entrepreneur without being vulnerable. I think that just kind of comes with the territory, to be honest with you. You can't not be vulnerable. Like you're out there for the world. Like you're on display that, whether it works or whether it doesn't, you're on display for the world to see. So I think you can't be an entrepreneur without having that level of vulnerability.
Yeah, yeah, amazing, amazing. So which chapter in Date Your Clients resonate most with readers owing to the feedback you have read or surprise them the most?
Repeat that for me?
Yeah, which chapter in Date Your Clients resonate most with readers or surprise them the most owing to the feedback you have gotten over
Oh,
time?
that's a good question, because I think each chapter walks through a different scenario that happens in our personal lives. And I think back to the old movie American Pie, and I remember a friend who saw it for the first time and said, "My gosh, you watch this movie, and if you didn't relate to one of the characters, you know the person who did." And I think through Date Your Clients, one of the things that I see is different people resonate with different chapters in the book, because one person may resonate with finding a good partner, one may resonate better with a breakup, one may resonate better with something else. And I think that really becomes the magic of it, is it resonates differently with each person.
Yeah, amazing. It resonates differently with each persons owing to every one of us is actually more like different. So if you could add one more chapter today, after all the feedback and conversations you have had, what will it be about?
That's a good question. I don't know. There's so much goofiness already. What would I add as another chapter? That's a good question. I don't honestly, I can't tell you. There were a couple chapters I took out, actually, just because I thought they were just too goofy. But truthfully, I think honestly, I gotta tell you, like I think the book actually covers a lot of territory. I think there's a lot to be said, um that that it covers. I mean, we deliberately cover everything from the start of a relationship to that dating profile to the breakup to meeting the family. Like, we cover it all. So yeah, that's a good question. I don't know what else I would add. I don't know that there's any.
Okay, okay. So you say relationship, romantic or professional follow up is a follow predictable pattern. Can you break that down for us? You say relationship, romantic or professional follow predictable pattern. Can you break that down for us?
That it follows
Yeah,
predictive patterns.
yeah, predict.
Whether we're at work or whether we are in personal relationships or family relationships or anything, the reality is that we're in all of these relationships with humans. And when I say that it's predictable, what I actually mean in that phrase is that it's not that it's just sterile, but that people behave in patterned ways. There's ways that people react to negative things. There's ways that people respond to negativity, that there's people have insecurities, whether that's at work or in their personal lives. People have emotions, whether it's work or personal lives. This idea that I can, what is it? That you mentioned vulnerability. Like I have vulnerabilities personally, but I also have professional vulnerabilities. If I have a bad day personally, it affects my work. If I have a bad day at work, it affects my personal lives. So the reality is that I think that there's nothing new under the sun, as the
Yeah.
psalmist would say, that humans are humans, and the way that humans behave is somewhat predictable if we look for those patterns. And in Date Your Clients, that's really the conversation that I'm having there. Is there's a predictable pattern, that the way you can expect a person to behave. If you behave in a particular way, expect a person to if you're rude to somebody, expect them to be rude back. Like, that's just the way that goes. And sometimes we walk into a work relationship and we're completely shocked by the response, when in reality is like, we have personal relationships. We know people. People are people, no matter the context.
True. I think this just reminded me of that history is more like yeah, history is it's standard. Almost everything we do today, it's something that happened in the past, and having that credibility
Sure.
from the past is just shows that something could be learned about it, so that we could actually improve in terms of the patterns, looking at it, being that we actually understood it. So what are the biggest first date mistake a business owner make when meeting new clients?
Say that for me.
Yeah, what are the biggest first date mistake business owner make when meeting new clients?
The biggest mistake that you make with clients, I think the biggest one would be just not listening. I
Mm,
think sometimes we have a tendency to be spending our time thinking about our next response rather than actually listening for understanding. And I believe that people will actually tell you everything you need to know if you listen enough.
yeah, so true. So true. So you also wrote about meeting the family. How does that translate into understanding a client's word or theme?
So when I go through the chapter of meeting the family, what I'm referring to is that in business relationships, we often have one contact. So I may spend time, and I've been doing this recently with a client. I got to know the client, the chief marketing officer of the client. The problem is that I got to know that person, but then I need to get to know everyone else on the team. So I may get along with this one person really well, but now I need to figure out how to get along with everybody. And that becomes a challenge because now all these people don't know me. So I have to go make a first impression all over again. And I have to make the new chief marketing officer like me, and I have to make the CEO like me. And I have to start my whole interview process, if you will, from scratch because the other people don't know me.
Yeah.
So I'm starting from scratch on all of that. And I think that's something that, and likewise, anybody who's ever been in a relationship understands you don't just date your partner, you date the entire family.
So true, so true. Being that they have some, yeah, they will still keep in their own words, in between those conversations, which actually were like either build or man the relationship. Yeah, yeah, it speaks volume.
Yeah, you're dating the whole family. You're just not dating the person that you got and that you fell in love with. And I think that really becomes a thing that a lot of people don't don't think about. It's like you got the whole family here, which means you're making first impressions all over again.
Yeah, and of course, the first fight. Every entrepreneur has one. How should business owner handle client conflicts without breaking trust?
Well, the conflict is, in my opinion, conflict is just a part of relationships. Like, we're going to disagree with each other from time to time. And I think the real question is, how are we capable of handling that without destroying trust? And that trust breaks down when communication fails. And if you don't understand my intentions, you can assume that I intend something negative. If you do understand my intentions, you understand that even if you don't agree with something, it doesn't mean that I'm doing anything wrong. And I think the same is in relationships, right? Like, as long as we're having conversation about what's going on, there's no problem because you understand the intention behind what I'm doing. My hope for people is that they understand that there's absolutely communication. I mean, I'll boil it down and say communication is key. Like, we have to make sure that we understand that we're communicating with each other, because when communication breaks down, everything breaks down. And I want to always make sure that in my relationships that, my needs are expressed, but also I'm listening to make sure that I understand other people's needs as well. And I think there's a lot of breakdown that takes place there. And when there's a breakdown in communication, we start to assign unintended ill will that ends up becoming a problem.
Oh, wow. Amazing. Amazing. But communication, most times, it's where you have to actually everything boil down. So in a world where everything is automated and transactional, how can small business owner keep their relationship human and personal?
Yeah, great question. And it's a very necessary question to ask. And that is, the necessity to keep relationships with people intentional needs to become in an automated world. We really need to work overtime to make sure that we are doubling down on the humanity of our relationships, because too often we're just not, and we're so busy. And I say this to my team all the time, that we're so busy trying to automate everything that we have a tendency to stop paying attention to the personalized side of things. And I understand the benefit of automation financially. um, the question, of course, for too many people is, well, we can understand the financial benefit of automation. How much is it costing us in opportunity and relationship equity?
How much is it costing us? I think this is really amazing, being that not just automating, we have to look forward to more like how much does it actually cost in terms of or the trust that is being built and the whole lot of other ingredients when it comes to building businesses. So you have been
Yeah,
described as raw, honest, and a hitter. How important do you think authenticity is in building clients' trust today?
it is 100% essential.
The
There's
performance.
absolutely no there's no compromise to that.
Yeah, thank you. So, lastly, how can people get their hands on your clients and start applying these lessons to their own business journey?
Yeah, I actually recommend people go visit my website at themarkyoung.com. And if they go to themarkyoung.com, all of my books are there, as well as links to any way that someone can get a hold of me.
This conversation has been entertaining and insightful. I love how you take out something well all understood relationship and turn it into fresh framework for business growth and human connection. So, our listener, you can grab Mark's best-selling book, book your dates clients at datesyourclient.com, and explore the lessons that turn heartbreak into horsepower for your business. As always, if this episode make you think differently about how you treat your clients, share it with another entrepreneurs who's ready to deepen their relationship with their revenue. I'm Aro Benaiah, and this is the Aro Benaiah Show, where we celebrate the lessons, love, and resilience that shape the hands-on leaders of today. Once again, it's really, really a pleasure and an honor having you on the show, Mark.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.